Hey, this is Kate from dailytarotgirl.com, and this is my unboxing of the Phoenician Oracle. So this deck comes in a beautiful blue velvety pouch, and this is what the backs look like. So really pretty mosaic, and it comes with a little pamphlet telling you about a little bit about each card. So this is an oracle deck, and I'm not sure how many cards are in here. It doesn't seem like a lot, but we'll go through each card and I'll let you have a look of each card and get a feel for it. So card stock is something between, it's not gloss and it's not totally matte. It's kind of in between. And cards are a comfortable size for oracle cards. So I'm just going to go through this deck slowly and let you kind of get a sense for these cards. So each card has like a word, a title, and then what this card represents. So Aleph, Ox, stability, sacred duty, and support. And this one is house, comfort, protection, family. So these are photographs of, well, this one's a photograph of a building, and then these look like photographs of artwork, mosaics. And at the end, towards the end of the video, I'll interview this deck and do kind of a sample reading so you see how this deck reads. That's beautiful. I love mosaic-y things. Reminds me of I went to a really neat monastery in Greece about 10 years ago, and some of these pictures kind of remind me of it. Oh, it's just my cat. She wants to go outside. I'm excited to see how this deck reads. I like the color scheme so far. And the pamphlet gives you a little bit of history about the Phoenicians. So that's interesting. Ooh, that's pretty. This one is water, emotion, cleansing, release. This one says, you might not be able to read it very well. It says mouth, speak, kiss, consume. These cards have kind of like an ancient sort of feel to them with the pictures of the mosaic art. Okay, so we're back where we started. So I'm going to give this deck a shuffle, and I'm going to ask it some questions about itself. So my question for the Phoenician Oracle is, what kind of a deck are you? And we have Goad or Guide, and this card says, oh, Merlina, shush, shush. This card says guide, leadership, concern. All right, so I love that this deck acts as a guide, which all good Oracle decks should do. So I think this is so fitting to get this card. So this deck acts as a guide. And the word leadership and concern, it's like when you have concerns, when you feel like you need a little bit of guidance or help or inspiration, turning to an Oracle deck to kind of help you get some ideas, this deck will be helpful for that. So this deck acts as kind of a guide. So the second question I have for this deck is, what kind of readings do you like to do? Like, what kinds of questions or issues do you specialize in? And the card we got here is, Door, which represents opportunities, options, and new path. So this deck specializes in issues around new opportunities. So let's say you've been offered a new opportunity and you kind of want to explore whether this is a good fit for you. This deck loves questions around that kind of thing. Options. So when you're trying to figure out what your options are, and decide what's the best option, this deck loves to help you with questions related to that. And this card also says new path. So I think whenever you embark on a new path, it's always fun to do a reading. And again, this deck loves those kinds of questions. And I think also reading with this deck, as any good reading does, is readings are kind of like a doorway into, whether you want to think of it as a doorway into the future, but it's a doorway into, taking a different kind of look into a different area of your life. So let's ask one more question, and I'm just going to move these cards here. My cats are fighting in the background. I don't know if you heard that. Okay, my third question for this deck, for the Phoenician Oracle, is what do you look for in a tarot reader? What qualities are important in a good tarot reader? And we have Camel. Okay, so this card says endurance, long travel, and caring. So this is interesting. So endurance. A tarot reader, one quality that's really good in a tarot reader is endurance. Now, any reader who has ever read at like a party or a fair or a festival knows that, you really need to draw on your strength and endurance to get through those like long days. I think also this is about enduring, getting through a reading, even if that reading is difficult, not giving up. I know in my early days of learning how to read tarot, I'd do readings for myself. And if I didn't like the cards, I would just gather them up and shuffle again. I didn't have a lot of endurance. As soon as I got stuck in a reading, I would often give up. So this card is saying that a good reader knows how to kind of stick with a reading, even if it doesn't make sense right away, or even if it's tricky. The word carrying also kind of stands out to me, and I'm trying to think how that could translate into a skill that a tarot reader might have. I think in some sense, a reader who's giving someone a reading, I don't want to say they carry the burdens of the person they're reading, but I think they sometimes help lighten the load by giving a reading. And then the term or the phrase long travel. I feel like what this card is saying is that this deck really has respect for readers who go the distance and who stick with it. And, there's lots of people who have a passing interest in tarot and oracle cards, and they kind of dabble in it and then they get on to something else. And then there's those readers who really stick with it, who've been reading for 10, 20, 30 years and, or even longer. And I think that's what this deck really appreciates, is readers who go the distance and who really stick with reading. Oops, I just realized my there's a bit of glare on that card. Okay, so I'm gonna reshuffle here. So this has been my unboxing of the Phoenician Oracle. So in conclusion, I want to say that this deck is pretty easy to read. It's perfect for beginners. It's got, you know, everything written on the card. It's not a difficult deck to read with. And of course there is a little bit of a brochure here kind of giving some additional info on the cards. So if you're interested in learning more about the Phoenician Oracle or purchasing this deck, I will put the link right below this video. So my name's Kate. I'm from dailytarotgirl.com, and thank you so much for watching.